Envy and falsehood are shadows that linger in the corridors of human interaction, distorting truths and testing our resolve. They are not merely external forces, but reflections of unchecked passions and misguided priorities, things that Stoicism teaches us to master within ourselves. Let us walk through these 10 pathways, guided by the wisdom of the Stoic masters, so that we may learn to discern envy and falsehood in others while fortifying our own spirits. 1. Observe unnatural comparisons. Envy often reveals itself through excessive comparison. Seneca reminds us, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." When someone measures their worth against others' success, they betray a restlessness within. Watch for those who diminish others to elevate themselves. Such behavior is a manifestation of envy's corrosive grip. Comparison can take many forms. In the workplace, a colleague who feels overshadowed may subtly undermine another's achievements. Among friends, someone might downplay another's success by emphasizing their own struggles. Consider the story of Marcus, a gifted athlete who grew resentful when his teammate Alex was praised for his skills. Instead of congratulating Alex, Marcus began pointing out Alex's flaws and attributing his success to luck. This behavior eroded trust and camaraderie. A Stoic approach would be to view Alex's success as a reflection of shared effort and to focus on improving one's own abilities. Beyond professional and social settings, envy in comparisons extends into the virtual world. Social media, often a highlight reel of others' achievements, exacerbates this tendency. Imagine Sarah scrolling through posts of her acquaintances' vacations, career milestones, or personal triumphs. Instead of feeling inspired, she spirals into discontent, believing her life lacks the glamour and fulfillment others appear to enjoy. This illusion, crafted through selective presentation, is fertile ground for envy. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength," reminds us to focus inward and not let external comparisons dictate our inner peace. Another example is familial relationships, where siblings may compete for attention or validation. Take the case of Emma and Liam, siblings with distinct talents. While Emma excels academically, Liam's strength lies in sports. Emma's tendency to belittle Liam's athletic achievements as unimportant stems from her insecurity about her physical abilities. Their rivalry breeds resentment rather than mutual support. A Stoic perspective would guide Emma to appreciate Liam's unique strengths and recognize her own intrinsic worth beyond academic accolades. By cultivating gratitude and self-awareness, we can resist the urge to compare ourselves to others. Gratitude shifts our focus to what we already possess, fostering contentment. Self-awareness helps us recognize when comparison is creeping in, allowing us to redirect our thoughts toward constructive action. Reflect on Epictetus' teaching. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This principle anchors us in the understanding that satisfaction arises from within, independent of external benchmarks. To counteract the insidious effects of comparison, practice mindful detachment. Instead of reacting emotionally to others' successes, evaluate what truly matters to you. Are your goals rooted in personal growth or driven by the desire to surpass others? Aligning your actions with your values rather than external validation fosters a sense of fulfillment that envy cannot touch. The Stoic sage recognizes that the race is not with others, but within oneself, striving daily to become a better version of who they were yesterday. 2. Recognize flattery as a mask. Falsehood often cloaks itself in sweet words. Epictetus cautioned, "Whoever flatters you is either deceiving you or seeking to deceive. Flattery, when excessive or ill-timed, may signal an ulterior motive. Authentic praise comes without calculation. False praise seeks to manipulate. Flattery can be disarming, especially when it appeals to our ego. Consider a manager, Helen, who receives effusive compliments from an employee, Tim, whenever a promotion opportunity arises. Tim's insincerity becomes evident when his actions, such as shirking responsibilities, do not align with his words. A stoic response would involve evaluating Tim's character through his actions, rather than being swayed by his words. Beyond professional contexts, flattery infiltrates personal relationships. Imagine Linda, who is repeatedly praised by a new acquaintance, Jessica, for her generosity and style. While initially flattering, Linda begins to notice Jessica's pattern of borrowing money and neglecting repayment. Flattery here serves as a tool to exploit Linda's kindness. Marcus Aurelius's principle, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it," reminds us to be discerning with words and actions. Social media also amplifies the reach of flattery. Comments filled with exaggerated praise can sometimes mask envy or ulterior motives. Take a scenario where an influencer, Tom, receives adulation from a follower, Alex, for his fitness journey. Behind the scenes, Alex spreads rumors to diminish Tom's credibility, revealing the dual nature of his praise. Stoicism encourages us to focus on genuine relationships and actions, not on the illusion of approval from insincere sources. To navigate flattery, practice humility. Acknowledge your strengths and accomplishments internally, rather than seeking external validation. Epictetus reminds us, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. This grounding principle fortifies us against the allure of manipulative praise. Furthermore, cultivate discernment. Pay attention to patterns in behavior, rather than isolated acts of praise. Authentic individuals align their words with their actions, while those driven by ulterior motives often display inconsistencies. By observing these patterns, we can identify flattery for what it truly is, a veil for falsehood. Lastly, embrace honest feedback. Genuine praise often includes constructive insights that inspire growth. Surround yourself with people who value truth over comfort. Their sincerity fosters trust and strengthens character. By prioritizing authenticity over superficial praise, we align ourselves with stoic virtues and build meaningful connections. 3. Watch for overreaction to others' success. A true Stoic celebrates others' achievements, knowing that their own worth is independent of external outcomes. But envy festers in those who respond to another's success with bitterness or veiled indifference. Marcus Aurelius advises, rejoice in the good of others. Those who cannot rejoice betray their inner discontent. For instance, Sarah, an artist, struggled when her friend Emma's painting was selected for a prestigious exhibit. Instead of congratulating Emma, Sarah dismissed her work as not that impressive. This reaction not only strained their friendship, but also revealed Sarah's insecurity. A Stoic mindset would encourage Sarah to reflect on her own values and find inspiration in Emma's achievement. Beyond personal relationships, overreaction to others' success can emerge in professional settings. Imagine a team leader, David, whose colleague Susan receives recognition for a project they collaborated on. Instead of sharing in the success, David downplays Susan's contributions and emphasizes his own efforts. This behavior sows discord and erodes team cohesion. Stoic wisdom reminds us to view shared successes as collective victories rather than zero-sum competitions. Social media amplifies this challenge, where envy-driven reactions often take the form of passive-aggressive comments or attempts to overshadow others' achievements. Consider Alex, who posts about their career milestone, only to receive dismissive remarks from acquaintances who mask their jealousy with humor or backhanded compliments. Marcus Aurelius's teaching, "You have power over your mind, not outside events," invites us to remain unaffected by others' reactions and focuses on our own journey. To cultivate genuine joy in others' successes, practice empathetic joy, or mudita. Celebrate achievements as if they were your own, reinforcing bonds of trust and goodwill. Reflect on the interconnectedness of human efforts. One person's success often contributes to a greater collective good. By reframing your perspective, you transform envy into admirations and inspiration. Additionally, use others' successes as opportunities for self-improvement. Rather than resenting what someone else has achieved, ask yourself what lessons their journey offers. For example, if a colleague's innovative project receives acclaim, analyze their approach and adapt their strategies to your own work. This proactive mindset aligns with the Stoic principle of focusing on what is within your control. Finally, develop resilience against external validation. By grounding your sense of self-worth in internal virtues rather than external recognition, you build an unshakable foundation for inner peace. As Seneca advised, the greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. Recognizing this truth empowers you to rise above envy and embrace genuine happiness for others. 4. Listen for shifting narratives. Falsehood thrives in inconsistency. Someone who changes their story to suit the audience lacks integrity. Truth, as Epictetus declared, needs no adornment. Trust the steady voice of consistency and be wary of those who waver. Consider the workplace, where shifting narratives often appear. Imagine Clara, who takes credit for a successful project in front of upper management, but downplays her involvement when facing her team's criticism. This inconsistency undermines trust, revealing Clara's opportunism. A Stoic response would be to hold oneself accountable and align words with actions, embodying the virtue of honesty. In personal relationships, shifting narratives manifest in a friend who tells conflicting stories about a past disagreement. For example, Jack might tell Sarah that he ended a friendship with Tim because of Tim's betrayal. But when speaking with another mutual friend, Jack claims Tim was the one to cut ties. This inconsistency suggests a desire to manipulate perceptions. As Marcus Aurelius advises, if it is not true, do not say it, emphasizing the importance of truthfulness in maintaining integrity. Another domain where shifting narratives thrive is social media. Posts that exaggerate or contradict earlier statements often reveal an individual's attempt to curate an image rather than present reality. For instance, a person might post about the perfect vacation while privately expressing dissatisfaction about the trip to close friends. This duality breeds mistrust among those who observe both sides. To navigate shifting narratives, practice discernment. Pay close attention to patterns over time rather than isolated inconsistencies. Authentic individuals maintain coherence in their stories, actions, and values. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This self-awareness helps us discern sincerity in others and align ourselves with truth. Equally important is the practice of self-accountability. When we observe shifting narratives in ourselves, we must address them promptly. Recognize the moments when external pressures tempt you to distort the truth and choose instead to stand firm in your principles. By committing to consistency, we strengthen our character and set a standard for others. Finally, cultivate relationships grounded in honesty. Surround yourself with individuals who value truth and integrity. When confronted with shifting narratives, address the inconsistencies directly, but with compassion. Often, these shifts stem from fear or insecurity. By fostering open dialogue, you encourage growth and help others embrace their authentic selves. The Stoic path teaches us to lead by example, demonstrating that integrity and consistency are cornerstones of a virtuous life. 5. Discern the need to possess. Envy often drives people to covet what others have. Yet, as Seneca wrote, "He who is contented is rich." When someone is consumed by acquisition, be it of wealth, status, or admiration, it may reflect envy's silent torment. Consider a neighbor, Tom, who becomes obsessed with owning a car similar to Mark's new luxury vehicle. Although Tom's current car serves him well, his envy blinds him to practicality. He begins spending beyond his means, taking out unnecessary loans, and neglecting other financial responsibilities, all to keep up with Mark. This cycle of acquisition leaves Tom feeling empty and perpetually dissatisfied. A Stoic perspective would urge Tom to recognize that material wealth does not equate to happiness. This same tendency can appear in professional settings. Imagine Rachel, who constantly seeks promotions and titles, not out of passion for her work, but to match or exceed her colleagues. Despite achieving a higher position, she remains unfulfilled, quickly setting her sights on the next milestone. Her fixation on external validation detracts from her ability to appreciate her current accomplishments. Seneca's wisdom, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," applies here, as Rachel's perception of inadequacy drives her discontent. The need to possess is not limited to tangible items. People often covet relationships or intangible qualities like popularity or influence. For example, Emily envies her friend Kate's ability to effortlessly draw people in with her charisma. Instead of appreciating her own unique traits, Emily begins mimicking Kate's behavior, losing her sense of authenticity in the process. A Stoic approach would encourage Emily to embrace her individuality, understanding that self-worth is not dependent on comparison. To combat the need to possess, practice voluntary simplicity. Reflect on the essentials of life and recognize the sufficiency of what you already have. Marcus Aurelius advises, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This perspective fosters contentment by shifting the focus from external possessions to internal virtues. Additionally, cultivate gratitude. This daily reflection on what you are thankful for can diminish the allure of unnecessary acquisitions. Gratitude reminds us of the abundance we already possess, reducing the grip of envy. For example, Tom might reflect on the reliability of his current car and the financial freedom it provides, diminishing his desire for a luxury vehicle. Finally, realign your values. Ask yourself whether your pursuits are driven by genuine needs or societal expectations. When Rachel pauses to reflect on her career aspirations, she might realize that her drive for promotions stems more from external pressures than internal passion. By focusing on meaningful goals aligned with her values, she can find fulfillment beyond status or titles. The Stoic sage recognizes that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the cultivation of inner virtues. By detaching from the need to possess, we free ourselves from envy's grasp and discover the lasting contentment that comes from self-mastery. 6. Notice gossip as a weapon. Gossip is the currency of envy and falsehood. Those who thrive on whispering ill of others often project their own insecurities. Marcus Aurelius admonished us to avoid speaking of what does not concern us, saying, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." Beware of those who spread shadows instead of light. Consider a workplace scenario where gossip is weaponized. Imagine Lisa, a team member who subtly spreads negative rumors about her colleague, Michael, suggesting he takes undue credit for shared work. Lisa's behavior stems from her envy of Michael's achievements and the attention he receives from their superiors. Her gossip creates divisions within the team, eroding trust and collaboration. A Stoic approach would remind Lisa to focus on her own efforts and virtues rather than undermining others. In personal relationships, gossip can be equally destructive. Take Emily, who frequently shares unverified stories about her friends' private lives to gain attention and favor within her social circle. Her actions harm her relationships as trust diminishes when others discover her habit of spreading half-truths. Marcus Aurelius's teaching to be upright, not kept upright, suggests that integrity, rather than the approval of others, should guide our actions. Social media amplifies gossip's reach, often transforming it into a public spectacle. Consider Alex, who posts disparaging comments about a former friend on a public forum, airing grievances that could have been resolved privately. This behavior, driven by resentment, ultimately reflects more poorly on Alex than the target of the gossip. Stoicism encourages us to pause and consider the impact of our words before speaking or sharing them publicly. To counteract the allure of gossip, practice silence and restraint. Epictetus advises, keep silence for the most part, and speak only when you must, and then briefly. When confronted with gossip, choose not to participate. By refraining from adding to the discourse, you maintain your integrity and set an example for others. Furthermore, cultivate a mindset of empathy. When tempted to judge or speak ill of others, reflect on the challenges they might be facing. This perspective helps replace envy with understanding and transforms gossip into an opportunity for compassion. For example, instead of joining Lisa in criticizing Michael, a Stoic might encourage her to discuss her feelings constructively or focus on improving her own work. Lastly, build relationships founded on trust and honesty. Surround yourself with individuals who value open communication and mutual respect. Addressing harmful gossip directly, but kindly, can often diffuse its power. For instance, if Emily's friend confronts her about her behavior with kindness, Emily might become more self-aware and strive to change. Gossip diminishes both the speaker and the listener. By choosing truth, empathy, and discretion, we align ourselves with the Stoic virtues of justice and wisdom, fostering a community of trust rather than division. 7. Look for exaggeration in deeds or words. Exaggeration is a hallmark of falsehood, often serving as a mask for insecurity or an inflated sense of self. The Stoic path, rooted in humility and truth, rejects such pretenses. As Epictetus reminds us, appearances to the mind are of four kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are nor appear to be, or they are and do not appear to be, or they are not and yet appear to be. Let us learn to distinguish these. To exaggerate is to distort this balance, presenting a facade instead of reality. Consider a colleague who routinely embellishes their contributions to projects. Amanda, for instance, might claim she single-handedly saved a failing campaign, omitting the collaborative efforts of her team. This behavior not only misleads others, but also undermines the collective achievement. A Stoic response would be to recognize the value of collective effort and celebrate truth over personal aggrandizement. In personal relationships, exaggeration can manifest as inflated accounts of hardships or accomplishments. Take James, who often portrays himself as the victim of circumstances far beyond his control, magnifying minor setbacks to elicit sympathy. While such behavior might initially garner attention, it ultimately alienates others who perceive the inconsistency. Marcus Aurelius advises, "Be content with what you are, and wish not to change, nor dread your last day, nor long for it." This guidance helps us ground our narratives in reality, fostering trust. Social media is another fertile ground for exaggeration. People often curate idealized versions of their lives, showcasing achievements while obscuring struggles. For example, a traveler might post stunning photos of a vacation while omitting the challenges faced during the trip. This selective presentation creates unrealistic expectations and fuels envy. Stoicism encourages us to embrace authenticity and resist the urge to impress others through exaggeration. To counteract exaggeration in yourself and others, practice mindful speech. Before speaking, consider whether your words align with reality and contribute to meaningful dialogue. Seneca counsels, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Quality, not embellishment, is the hallmark of authenticity. Additionally, focus on humility. Recognize that true strength lies in acknowledging your limitations and appreciating the contributions of others. Amanda, for example, might learn to value her team's input and share credit for their success, fostering collaboration and respect. Finally, cultivate self-awareness. Reflect on moments when you might feel tempted to exaggerate. What drives this impulse? Often, it stems from a desire for approval or fear of inadequacy. By addressing these underlying emotions, you can align your actions with Stoic principles of honesty and integrity. Exaggeration erodes trust and distorts reality. By embracing humility, authenticity, and self-awareness, we align ourselves with the Stoic virtues, fostering genuine connections and a truthful existence. 8. Detect the absence of gratitude. Gratitude is the cornerstone of a fulfilled and virtuous life. As Epictetus stated, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." When gratitude is absent, envy and falsehood often flourish, revealing a restless discontent in individuals who fail to appreciate the good in their lives. Consider the workplace, where a lack of gratitude might manifest in a colleague, Sarah, who constantly complains about her role, despite having a stable job and supportive coworkers. Her focus on perceived inadequacies blinds her to the privileges and opportunities she enjoys. A Stoic approach would encourage Sarah to shift her perspective, recognizing her position as a platform for growth and contribution rather than a source of dissatisfaction. In relationships, an absence of gratitude can erode bonds. Imagine David, who takes his partner's efforts for granted, rarely acknowledging their support or sacrifices. Over time, his lack of appreciation fosters resentment and distances them emotionally. Marcus Aurelius's reminder to "be content with what you have" underscores the importance of valuing those who enrich our lives. Social media often amplifies ingratitude. People may become consumed by envy when they compare their lives to the curated highlights of others. For instance, Emily, scrolling through vacation photos of her peers, feels disheartened by her inability to travel. Instead of appreciating the stability and connections she currently has, Emily's focus shifts to what she lacks. Gratitude, in this context, becomes an antidote to envy, grounding her in the present. To cultivate gratitude, practice daily reflection. Begin or end each day by identifying 3 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. This practice rewires the mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. For example, Sarah might reflect on the supportive colleagues she works with, or the skills she has honed in her role, fostering a sense of fulfillment. Additionally, express gratitude outwardly. A simple thank you to a coworker, friend, or family member strengthens connections and acknowledges their contributions. David, for instance, might make a habit of thanking his partner for specific actions, reinforcing their bond. Finally, align your values with gratitude. Recognize that true wealth lies not in external possessions, but in internal virtues and meaningful relationships. As Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." By focusing on what you have, rather than what you lack, you cultivate a mindset resilient to envy and falsehood. Gratitude transforms our perspective, allowing us to see the richness of our lives. When we foster this virtue in ourselves and encourage it in others, we build a foundation for genuine contentment and integrity. 9. Observe the disposition toward blame. Envy and falsehood often manifest in a tendency to assign blame outwardly rather than accepting personal responsibility. Those who deflect blame onto others reveal their unwillingness to confront their own shortcomings. A Stoic recognizes that self-mastery begins with accountability. As Epictetus taught, who is to blame then? Someone has stolen from me? That is his concern. I have been harmed only if I allow it. Consider a workplace scenario. John, a manager, frequently shifts the blame for his team's failures onto his subordinates. Instead of analyzing his own leadership style or addressing systemic issues, he singles out individuals, creating a culture of fear and resentment. Such behavior reflects a lack of self-awareness and integrity. A Stoic leader, by contrast, would view failures as opportunities for growth and take responsibility for their role in the outcome. In personal relationships, blame shifting can erode trust and deepen conflicts. Imagine Sophie and Liam, a couple navigating financial difficulties. Sophie consistently blames Liam for their struggles, focusing on his spending habits while ignoring her own role in their shared finances. This deflection prevents them from working together to find solutions. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength," underscores the importance of focusing on one's own actions and reactions. On social media, public blame shifting often takes the form of posts that criticize others while portraying oneself as a perpetual victim. Such behavior may garner temporary sympathy, but ultimately alienates others who see through the facade. A Stoic response would be to practice humility and self-reflection rather than seeking validation through public displays of indignation. To recognize and address blame shifting, begin by observing patterns. Individuals who habitually blame others often exhibit inconsistencies in their narratives. Epictetus reminds us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This principle encourages us to focus on our own reactions rather than externalizing fault. Next, cultivate self-awareness. Reflect on moments when you may have been tempted to shift blame. What drove that impulse? By understanding the emotions and fears underlying this behavior, you can develop the courage to accept responsibility and seek constructive solutions. Additionally, foster open and honest communication. When addressing blame shifting in others, approach the conversation with empathy. For instance, Sophie might gently encourage Liam to discuss their financial challenges as a team, emphasizing shared goals rather than assigning fault. Finally, practice self-accountability as a model for others. By owning your actions and learning from mistakes, you demonstrate the strength of character that Stoicism champions. Seneca wrote, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." This wisdom reminds us that sometimes taking quiet responsibility speaks louder than words. Blame shifting is a barrier to growth and trust. By embracing accountability and focusing on what lies within our control, we cultivate the resilience and integrity that define a Stoic life. 10. Sense the erosion of trust. Trust is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships and communities are built. When trust erodes, envy and falsehood often fill the void. A Stoic's commitment to truth and justice ensures they remain steadfast, both as trustworthy individuals and as discerning judges of character. As Marcus Aurelius advises, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Consider a colleague, Andrew, who repeatedly fails to honor commitments, offering excuses or assigning blame to external factors. His actions create a ripple effect, undermining team morale and the organization's goals. Over time, others begin to anticipate his unreliability, and trust is replaced with skepticism. A Stoic approach would require Andrew to recognize his own failings, take responsibility, and rebuild trust through consistent actions. In personal relationships, breaches of trust can be even more devastating. Imagine Claire, who discovers that her friend Jane has been sharing private conversations with others. Despite Jane's apologies, Claire finds it difficult to restore the bond they once shared. Trust, once fractured, requires sustained effort and sincerity to mend. Epictetus reminds us, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. This principle underscores the weight of words and the need to wield them responsibly. On a societal level, the erosion of trust manifests in institutions and leaders who prioritize self-interest over collective well-being. When promises are broken and integrity is sacrificed for gain, disillusionment spreads. Stoicism urges us to hold ourselves and our leaders accountable to higher standards of virtue and truth. To sense and address the erosion of trust, begin by observing patterns of behavior. Consistency, as a marker of integrity, is key. Those who act in alignment with their words earn trust, while those who do not quickly lose it. Reflect on Marcus Aurelius's insight. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Next, communicate openly and honestly. If trust has been damaged, acknowledge the breach and commit to corrective actions. Claire, for instance, might express her feelings to Jane, setting clear boundaries while allowing space for reconciliation. Additionally, lead by example. Demonstrate reliability, fairness, and transparency in your own actions. When others observe your consistency, they are inspired to follow suit. For instance, Andrew's colleagues might address his unreliability by modeling accountability and providing constructive feedback. Finally, practice forgiveness. While rebuilding trust requires effort from all parties, harboring resentment only deepens the divide. By forgiving, we release ourselves from the chains of anger and create opportunities for healing. However, forgiveness does not mean ignoring patterns of deceit. It means approaching the situation with clarity and compassion. Trust is fragile yet essential. By embodying Stoic principles of truth, justice, and accountability, we cultivate relationships and communities grounded in integrity and mutual respect. Envy and falsehood are persistent challenges in human interactions, but they also offer opportunities for growth and reflection. By recognizing these traits in others, we are reminded to examine and refine our own character. The Stoic path does not demand perfection, but encourages progress, an unwavering commitment to truth, virtue, and self-mastery. As we navigate a world rife with envy and falsehood, let us remember the wisdom of Epictetus. No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom lies not in external validation, but in the clarity of our intentions and the strength of our virtues. By choosing honesty over deceit, accountability over blame, and gratitude over discontent, we cultivate an inner fortress impervious to the shadows of envy and falsehood. In the end, the Stoic life is a journey of becoming more just, more courageous, more temperate, and more wise. Through this journey, we do not merely recognize envy and falsehood, we transcend them, embodying the virtues that lead to lasting peace and fulfillment.